Welcome back. With the increase of psychological problems related to self-esteem in the contemporary age of adolescents, such as social anxiety disorder, aggressive behavior, and psychological insecurity caused by poor companionship and family relationship, there is a current phenomenon of self-esteem level, which indicates senior school students is lower than that of middle school and college students due to the investigative statistics of teenage students. According to various kinds of summaries about causes of low self-esteem, there are research focusing on how family factors such as parental care influence adolescents' self-esteem levels. It showed that parental care is a major cause. How then can someone manage the menace, or how can this be controlled? With the increase of psychological problems related to self-esteem in the contemporary age of adolescents, such as social anxiety disorder, aggressive behavior, and psychological insecurity caused by poor companionship and family relationship, there is a current phenomenon in China that the self-esteem level of senior school students is lower than that of middle school and college students due to the investigative statistics of teenage students in 31 Chinese provinces. That is according to various kinds of summaries about causes of low self-esteem. There was research focusing. Now, this research is focusing on how family factors such as parental care influence adolescents. All right. Now we'll go straight to what we have, and of course, Quint is going to do us justice to the rest.
Okay, so our conversation is just as is rightly read already, where we're going to have a conversation on adolescents, youth, and how low self-esteem affects us. And we have a guest in the studio who is Mr. Ebere Amarizu, who is a former Enugu State Police Public Relations Officer. And our conversation, like I said, is on low self-esteem among the youth. Good evening, Mr. Ebere, and welcome to the program.
Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening.
Nice to have you.
You're my host. Good evening, tuning viewers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive right in just to get a basic knowledge so people don't mistake one for the other. What exactly is low self-esteem? At what point do you understand that you have low self-esteem towards yourself?
Yeah, thank you very much. Talking about the issue of low self-esteem, is low self-esteem primarily concern itself with negative perception of oneself, leading to kind of feeling of loss of confidence. The person now will be now feeling loss of confidence, self doubt and all that, and it makes him to begin to see nothing in him. He will not be seeing himself, seeing the emptiness and all that. So it means he's down emotionally and he's also down mentally. So these are the the key things that you can take away from low self-esteem. Then that is always it's not seeing himself as somebody who can compete with one another. He see himself. He's not always hiding himself. Withdrawing. He doesn't want to mingle with people because of judgment, and he doesn't want to be seen as a failure. He doesn't want to put up a try. He doesn't want to accept any challenge. The person doesn't want to accept challenges because of what? Because he doesn't want to be seen as having failed. But not knowing that one, he must also fail. But the issue that when you fail, you learn and adjust and move. But he doesn't want this again too. So it makes him, he doesn't understand himself anymore. He don't see the potential in him. So a low self-esteem person does not see the potential in him and all that. So he lives another person's life, trying to copy from
other persons.
Okay, so he's not satisfied with the way he's made.
Okay, so low self-esteem and inferiority complex, are they likewise, are they the same, or there's this thin line differentiating the two?
Is this low self-esteem that makes you to navigate into inferiority complex,
Okay.
feeling of lawlessness, feeling of you're no longer important, there's no usefulness in you, then you can't be able to stand, to say, okay, to define yourself, to take decisions by yourself. So you always feel that if you take a decision, that people will laugh at you, or they will say that you have taken a wrong decision, or that. So you can't decide on a particular thing. So it's actually the raging thing amongst our young guys, young minds.
Yeah, it's sorry, it's good that you brought up the inferiority complex.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask, low self-esteem and timidity. Is that like a romance between low self-esteem and timidity? Can we say it is the same thing, or they're just like cousins?
Yeah, timidity is that the person may not actually have been exposed.
Okay.
You understand me? Timidity, based on maybe the background, where is the person is coming up from there too. But it's a different, timidity is another thing. Then the low self-esteem is just different. It's another ball game that happens within selves. Timidity is something that has to do with environment where you are coming. Maybe this person is coming from a rural area. Maybe this person is so timid and all that. But when we are talking about low self-esteem, it deals with behavior. It deals with thoughts. It deals with feelings. So it is a mental health condition, affecting one. This time around, it is a negative perception of someone, who is seeing himself, as not, is doubting himself. His ability is doubted and all that. So that is it.
All right, then, let's look at some of the causes of low self-esteem, because if we are to go into this, we need to look at the root causes. What could have been the causes of low self-esteem? We know that parental and guiding lifestyle could also be part of it, because there's some family you get into when you're growing up. Parents that really don't know that some words they use on their kids could be effective on the kids. Maybe a kid is maybe fleshy or something, use that kind of word on the kids, and look at you, you're very fat, you're very, cursing words and stuff, that you grew up in that understanding that this is who you are, and you cannot come out of this understanding. Could that be a major factor one of the causes of low self-esteem?
Yeah, you are right. It's one of the factors that brings about, or that triggers, lack of confidence. Remember, we are talking about the person is a kind of it's a negative perception of one, that brings about lack of confidence, brings about self-doubt and all that, and it comes as a result of what some parents at times do. Some parents, I don't want to say
All
the
parents.
parents, yes. I'm selecting them because there are some other parents that also know their worth when it has to do with parenting. So it is a parental factor, because some parents may not actually be conversant with framework around child development, child care, and also the kind of things that they can do. I mean, the involvement in child development. So they can start, maybe they want to kind of make the child understand that he or she would have done something. Then they now go into name calling. That name calling or comparison, comparing the child, with another person's child. You understand me? We have, look at this person, look at this so person's son, look at this so person's daughter, look at what you have been doing on your own. It's just when we are here, it's just to eat food, it's just to do this, it's just to do that. Then begin to draw up this line of comparison. So it acts on the mind. It acts on the mind and emotion of that particular child. And as a result, it will begin now to act on the mood. Then there will be the mood will go down, the morale will go down, and it will affect the confidence and the doubt, self-doubt will start developing in that particular person as if he doesn't know what he's doing. Then another one too is when you yell, you yell each time you are this kind of parents that is known with the kind of under the guise of disciplining a child, then you give a whole lot of flogging, a whole lot of punishment, a whole lot of things that will inflict, pain, physical pain on that child. Not only physical pain, but that child is also going to suffer from emotional pain and all that. And at some point, it will migrate to childhood trauma. This childhood trauma too has something to do with low self-esteem and all that. The child will not be able to stand on his own to compete with others. And it makes the child can no longer be taking decision, at home, because he doesn't know the kind of decision or things that he will do that he will run into a problem. So that is it. So when that starts happening, the child grows with that, and at some point become a mature person because he's no longer taking decision, doesn't know how to take decision, he doesn't make choice anymore, because this makes them not to make their choice. You may make a choice, then take decision, then you grow with that and get married, and with the wife, he can't be able to take decision.
Coming to that aspect of you have a child growing up with some traumas and still haven't healed, would you blame the child from not healing from their childhood trauma? Being an adult, you're supposed to take responsibility of certain things. Like they say, it's when your parents groom you, you still have the hand to teach yourself and learn and unlearn certain things. Would you blame the child for still wallowing in that childhood trauma other than doing the right thing by healing?
So at what point, at what point is the child discovering that he has come of age? That's why we're talking about childhood trauma. Those things, healing has not taken place because within the time he's still under the parental care from maybe the age of child to adolescent, then get matured and all that. So the mind had been engulfed, and through this emotional trauma and other mental health conditions that may have overwhelmed him as a result of this experience he passed through. So it's going to take some time, but now the issue is that he's going to give those things out, because that is just the way they say. Okay, that's why some people will be telling you, hey, do you know the way they brought us up? They brought us, they used to carry one cane, and that's why you also want to use the same cane to the distance, because that's the same way they brought us. You understand me? That's what I'm trying to tell you. So at what point did the person heal? Because the person was brought in that manner, and he feel that to him, that is the understanding. That's the way he feel right that a child can also be brought up there too.
But to add to that, who is to take the responsibility now? Because if you've undergone the trauma from your parents, you are now an adult, you are exposed, you're educated, and what have you. You're supposed to know better that this shouldn't be the right way. At what point are you supposed to take responsibility? Are you still going to blame your parents for their ignorant age that they trained you into whatever you grew up to become?
Yes. So the issue that's one, how did it start? Did it start with the child? It didn't start with the child, it started with the parents. So one, who will do the healing process? The healing, you don't just get up and say it's healed. It doesn't work that way. It's something of a mindset. That's why we talk about PTSD, the post-traumatic stress disorder. Because anything will happen, there will be a reflection to one of the things that would have happened.
And triggered it as well.
And triggered it, and it resurfaces because there was no proper healing. There was no professional touch to that. Maybe they didn't visit the professionals then for counseling and all that. That's what
therapy.
About. Yes, therapy is the
but in a case like Nigeria, that we don't really encourage therapy. But then we have the likes of.
Don't really encourage it because they don't know about mental health. Not really don't encourage. They don't really know about mental health. There's a kind of low understanding, about how this thing works. That's why at times you now will now be looking at if a medical doctor that it doesn't have anything to do with mental health. You are looking at a priest that it doesn't have anything to do with mental health. Whereas every person, each and every one of us has something to do with mental health. Because you pass through mental health conditions. Not mental health illnesses. We have mental health conditions and mental health illnesses. Mental health conditions, you must pass through it no matter who you are. No matter. No person is exempted. No person is immune to that because one, it deals with emotion. and human beings live with emotions.
Yeah.
The only person that does not suffer mental health condition is only a dead person. But if you are alive, you must suffer. You must suffer mental health conditions, and that's why, because we have not come to this understanding, that has been created these loopholes for these things to just be happening. Because then you now be looking at it. What have I to do with mental health? Mental health is not reserved for those people that are mentally ill and all that. No, it has something to do with the human being, because one, man is made of body, soul, and spirit, and mental health is holistic. It is spiritual, it is social, it is emotional, it is mental, it is psychological. That's why we said wellness in quotes, and it is holistic. So, and it is slowly reserved for those that are alive. So, irrespective of this, so if you have it, because you have emotion, what you mean by you have emotions which guides your feeling, your thoughts, and your behavior. So you must pass through this mental. Somebody can annoy you. It's not so. Something will happen to you annoying. Don't you feel sad?
Sure.
Don't you feel worried? Then don't you? Yeah, at some point, if somebody say, okay, somebody, you feel happy. It's not so.
Exactly.
So these are the emotions and the other emotions too.
Attached
at times
to it.
you are scared. It's not so.
True.
So these are the, so when you are scared, how do you try to overcome them? When you are sad, how do you overcome them? When you feel bad, touching your mood to sit, how do you feel? So these are mental health conditions.
All right, so let's look at social media as another platform that could actually intensify the problem of low self-esteem. On social media, you have children of different age grade. Even though you have restrictions for just 18 and above, you still see teenagers on these platforms, and it sort of intensifies this whole situation. So how would you say social media has played a key role in intensifying low self-esteem among the youths?
Yeah, the issue is that it has drawn up. We can look at it from the other angle, that it has blown up a competitive framework amongst these young minds. And when you are drawn into this competitiveness, one of the radical things there is that it's going to make you to go into there's an unhealthy rivalries, competition, trying to say, okay, let me be like this person.
Yeah.
Let me be like this. Let me do like this. I need to surpass this. I need, of course, I need my listen to grow. That's so you begin now to think about, I need my content, I need my likes to grow.
Yeah.
I need my, you like that.
Yes, I need to get more followers.
I need to have followers. I need my likes to grow.
Yeah.
I need my this. Okay, now we now begin to ask you, these likes you are focusing on. Do you actually know any of your followers? You don't really know. So why should it be bothering you? You discover that at some point it begins to bother you that you do not have the maximum likes, or you wake up one day to see that one of the likes or two of them that used to following you have dropped. You don't even know them. You don't know where they live and all that. So it starts affecting you. So these are the things we have created for ourselves, because we have not been able to know whom you are. We are still relying on some other person. We are still relying on some other person, to grow our personality. No, if you are, that is lack of self-awareness. When you are able to understand yourself, you will know that those things does not really matter. That what matters is that how you turn out yourself to be and whom you are. Like somebody will be telling you that when in our interfaces, we used to ask people, whom do you really want to be? Some person will be telling you that I want to be like Mr. James. I want to be like this. Some other person too will also answer right. For those of them that answer that they want to be like Mr. James, these are the people that are prone or to having these issues, because you cannot be like that Mr. James. You only work to become yourself. You can admire what Mr. James is doing. If he's doing things good, you can admire him, but not to work to become like him. You cannot become like him. There's no point that you can be like any person. You can't be like me, I can't be like you. Yeah. So you now come back, understanding this, understanding self, then we make you to try to overcome. So what they see, because of what they see in social media and all that, and it influences, their behavior, their feelings, their thought pattern and all that, then a kind of taking them into unhealthy competitions, and it affects their self-esteem, and it makes it low, and also make them to navigate into negative pathways and all that, because at some point these things will grow and make them vulnerable. And of course, anything can take place when they are very vulnerable. So that's it.
Yeah, talking about self-awareness,
Yeah.
you not even knowing.
Yeah.
This is a big deal because there are people that may be experiencing low self-esteem and they don't even know.
That
They
are
think they're okay.
having-
Yeah, they wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And that's like another issue. How can that be managed? How can you tell someone that if the person is a friend or a brother or a sister, see you, this is a sign of low self-esteem,
Yeah.
but the person is not aware,
Yeah.
how can you really educate or communicate to that person?
Yeah, you have some processes. First process is that one, you begin to look at what is bringing that. There are causes. Because one, you have to look at the root causes first. You don't just dive into the solution. So if you trace what is causing this or the behavior pattern will change, the thought pattern will change, and the feelings too. Then you now begin to see that withdrawal has set in and all that. So what you now begin to do, there are some things that requires you one-on-one engagement. One-on-one engagement. It's not something that you begin to shout because all the person will be running away because he feels that each time you pass judgment on them. Because a self-esteem person doesn't like, because once you discover that you are always passing judgment, it will increase the tempo of that low self-esteem, and the person will now begin to disappear from you. You will draw from this. So you will try to draw the person very close then and find out what actually is happening within the person too, and what is taking him at that, why he's not standing tall and all that, then and begin to give the therapy. That's why you have to quickly consult or contact a psychotherapist. You have to consult a psychotherapist. It's not like if you are sick, don't you go to the doctor. If you notice that you are sick, maybe something's happening, you have some symptoms, you visit doctor. So you can as well, if you notice that this is taking place, then you inquire, get across to psychotherapist or counsel them for counseling, so that you'll be able to trace the root causes, have the background, and be able to give the requisite therapy that will help to recover that young chap, from the way he's following another. Maybe it could be from the parents, the way things are being handled. Maybe it could also be from the peer, what he sees in school and all that. Maybe it could be from other educators, teachers too. It could be from what he's around too. Maybe something that is scary. Then you will not be able to know, which you may not all know because you are not a professional. So you'll be able to involve that particular child in that approach with a view to recovering the person and all that. But the issue is that these things we are still, most of the parents are still involved in the handling of such issues, through the traditional method, which is no longer tenable. It's obsolete. The way you do it, because one, you need to follow trends, patterns, the behavioral patterns, thoughts, of this particular child. That because one person who suffers from low self-esteem, in order to show that he has arrived or that he's meeting up, we begin now to involve himself with what's called people pleasing. He'll be doing everything
to please people.
Himself, then and thereby mortgaging to the detriment of his own, to his own interest. Then he will also be seeking for validations, what we call seeking for validation. Then involving himself in what's called perfectionism. That is bringing up a lot of elongated programs, even though that he may not, achieve any of them and all that. What he's trying to present is that he want to show you that that he also he belong and all that. So that's what you get, because he will try to show himself. At times, he gets aggressive too. He uses it to cover, to show that he belongs and all. But this person is passing through this. So you have to look inward then and begin to find out what actually is happening with it. Because if he continues and if it's not curbed or addressed, it can begin now to give physical issues like health depressions. Then begin to have some other behavior, negative behavior. That time begin now to say this if God knows. So it starts with this because it's a shift to the mood. The mood is down. The person has have self-doubt. He doesn't trust his step anymore, and he's not seeing everything. He's not seeing clear. No mental clarity within this person right now. So under that, the person now becomes vulnerable. He can be for women. That's, you can see them in hookups because that is it. Because lack of self-esteem. Yes, makes her is vulnerable and actually needed to meet up to meet up and discuss maybe say this hair is good, and do a kind of the thing too. So there is already vulnerable.
Start seeking
self-validation. Self-validation, then people's pleasing, and then become more vulnerable and can be recruited into organized criminal groups.
Okay, let's look at academic performance, because I think it starts at that stage where you're in school, you have your peers, you're taking the last position in class, and everybody's laughing at you. You get back home and your parents are beating you up, you know. And every single day they keep reminding you of how you took the last position the previous term and how much you're interested in eating the food on the table other than reading. This particular academic performance situation, is it a root cause, or it could be an effect, a side effect of low self-esteem?
Yes, it's part of it, because one, we have there's emotional imbalance, because most of those things affect the emotion. Like I told you that human being is made up of body, soul, and spirit. Then something would have tampered with the emotion, so it's no longer, strong emotionally. It's no longer strong mentally, and it's also going to affect the academics. It's going to affect the academics. So something is wrong. So now what's the parents supposed to do is to launch in and maybe refrain from the way they have been doing things. That's why at times you can have good mothers that can come in there, maybe sit you one-on-one, then try to, in fact, not making you feel guilt anymore, because you make him to feel guilt, of a particular thing. So that's why you are referring him to, or her, to the academic performance. That's you're only good in coming here to eat the food and all that. You don't do this. So thereby increasing the state of the post-traumatic stress disorder, so a lot of things which worries the emotions and increase, and it brings him down. The morale is, has gone down too, and that's but it's not supposed to be so. You understand me? So when you notice this, what you're supposed to do, you need to stand in and begin to find out what would have happened. Maybe one, this person is emotionally down. This person is mentally down. What do we really do? What is causing them? You now begin to follow up and all that. That's when we talk about parental support. That's we give him that support, emotional support. You give him the mental support. That's why we say that parenting is a very serious business. It's not all about getting money for the child. It's not all about paying school fees. It's not all about buying or taking them to ShopRite or whatever thing you want like that. So there are more to this. You need to bring the child up, both that's in soul, the spirit, the body. Then you have to work on them and make sure that that child retraces the step. We have seen some people that have cases of low self-esteem, perhaps run into good parents that also played their role and were then helpful to this, then gave the support, and there was a launch back. There was a launch back. That's when we're talking about strengthening their resilience. Maybe it could be the thing has affected him to the extent that the person kind of does not have that, the resilience has disappeared. That's the emotion. It's no longer emotionally strong. It's no longer mentally strong. It cannot. That's then socially is off, and these are the things that affect young child as they're coming up there too, and maybe where he gets himself and all that. So, and you are pushing the child to unhealthy rivalries, competition, maybe the comparison you have made, maybe the kind of attitude, maybe the kind of things. Maybe he looked up to you as a parent, he looked up to you as a guardian, but what is supposed to be coming out from you is not coming out from you too. So you now begin to see, why should I be with this person? So the person now begin to see himself as maybe either not living up to expectation and all that. That is it. If you see some people struggling to to do as if they want to live up to expectation of somebody, maybe in offices, you also see some people who are suffering from that. What we always do is, rather than doing their job, you begin to see them go to do what is called eye service. So what is the root of this eye service? Eye service is just a kind of to make sure that you be like to be in the book, good book. Yeah, that's it. So if you know your work, you can be doing your work, and through your work you'll be in a good book of some other person.
So would you say people that deliberately do the eye service thing have low self-esteem?
That's part of it. That's what research is. That's why I'm bringing it here. Because if you have your work, you're supposed to be doing your work here right now. You're not doing your work, but you are fond of, doing some other things outside what you're supposed to do. And the essence of doing that, so that you can be in a good book of your boss. You can be in a good book of your supervisor, so that each time you say this or that. But the real task, if you go to your table, you see that no job has been done and all that. Were you employed for that, or were you employed to discharge your job? And so what I'm telling you too.
Let's look at cultural expectations.
But sorry to cut in.
Okay.
Before we get to cultural expectations, still on academy and school, I was thinking if the likes of maths and English is made compulsory for students, can we have mental health subjects also made compulsory for students, so that if you're starting from your nursery, primary, secondary, even tertiary institutions, you grow up with that mentality, that mental health subjects, you are aware of it. Do you think it will reduce the rate of mental issues we have right now?
Okay, let me tell you, yes, too. All the places where I've worked, like when I did a program, my IVFP program with the US, we worked in 4 states. Yes, and it took us to schools, communities, police stations, and other areas too, and other NGOs that does one thing or the other. Children, were babies, and abandoned children all that time. You see that mental health is there. They have a counseling department. They have a mental health department. Then in UK, when I was working with Liverpool Football Club Foundation, yes, they have mental health department. And also, the school where we worked, there's a school called North Liverpool Academy. It's in Merseyside and everywhere. Now, they also have this, all the schools have this. They don't joke with mental health, because one, it enables them, to handle child, and also help the child, guide the child, give support to the child to navigate into the pathways of positivity. And the same thing is given to their athletes. It's not like when we come here now, most of the club side, they don't have mental health department. Mental health department helps to give emotional support, give mental support to that particular child because of childhood trauma. They are to find out the behavior of the child. There are forms we will give, which will elicit a reaction from that child, so that we'll be able, that's why it is data driven. That's the way we do it, data driven here, so that we'll be able to find out, the child history, emotional history, and what's having in mind. We have them, we'll give the forms. Then we also look at the mental health situations, what the child is facing. So from there, you'll be able to discover whether there are signs of low self-esteem, one. Secondly, whether there are signs of ASB, that's antisocial behavior, because everything is preventive. So if you discover from this that there are signs of ASB, antisocial behavior and all that, then you subject the child into psychosocial engagement, then make the child proper, then find the cause, then run it out, then so that it doesn't stop the school, then it will go in pari-passu school. Maybe it requires strengthening of resilience, then they take them into multi-sports. That's why they have Messi Fire Fit, at Anfield. They take them to, to sports and use it. So maybe it requires critical thinking, so that the person will be able to reinvent himself or herself, and be able to discover the true persons that he's made up and whom he was supposed to be, then and launch back and begin to clear the mathematics you are talking about, so that he will no longer see, he will overcome these worries. What he will overcome, the essence of this engagement is to help him to overcome the fear, anxiety, worries, and not only overcoming them, turning them into strength or using them to elevate themselves. So it's not something that is physical, it's something that is emotional, but it has to be guided by a therapist who is working day and night. In fact, they can't do anything without a therapist. So the same thing happens to you too as a parent, because one, these things are are more than you. They are emotional. Anything emotional is more than you. So you can succumb to that if you're not emotionally strong. Then you can go the other ways and all that. So when you come, we'll be able to hear you out and get you, because you're an adult. But even when if you give you form, you fill those forms, we'll be able to know what and what. You won't run away from it. That's why you see that some people don't like getting across to the psychotherapist. Because if you go to therapist, there are some questions you will ask, which will bring out the necessary things that you're supposed to have. And maybe why you are having that problem is because of your personality. Because one, your thought pattern, your feelings, and your thinking too. Maybe you lack self-awareness. Because this, you will see some people, they're modeling things up, living their behavior, living some other person's behavior. That's why you will leave what it concerns you and begin to discuss some other person's issue. You begin to discuss some other, you're interested in what's happening in some other person's family. You're not interested in what's happening here too. You're leaving some other person too. These things are caused by lack of self-awareness. When you are self-aware, when you are mentally aware, you'll be able now to discover your true selves. You'll be able to now to understand how this thing works and be able, to navigate into the positive pathways. That time you'll be emotionally strong, you'll be mentally strong, you'll be socially strong, you'll be physically strong. Then general awareness will have taken place. Then you now become productive.
Okay, so cultural expectations. I just want to focus on what has been trending in the society now amongst the youth, whereby you see someone that is more worried about trying to acquire what a friend or a colleague had acquired already. And because they can't afford to do that, they feel this sense of inferiority complex, the low self-esteem, and the rest of it, thereby going out of their ways to do certain things to get money, which is now a trend. Would you call this low self-esteem, or it's actually a misplaced priority situation?
Okay, it is under the two things that I'm going to, yes. One, it's still under that low self-esteem because you lack confidence, you lack the belief of what's the potential. You don't even know the potential that is in you. Then because you do not know the potential that is in you, then it takes you to the issue of misplaced priority. The misplaced priority there is that you are mistaken wants
for needs.
For needs. You see the thing now? And it's a product of self-esteem. Because if you have self-esteem, not low self, if you have self-esteem is strong, you'll be able, which means you are mentally aware, which means you're also self-aware. Then for you to be self-aware, you'll be able now to know that want is different from need. And because that you are now taking want to be the need, that's why it takes you into greed. It takes you at that greed. Then because you are now greedy, then it makes you now to begin to look at things at all costs. You want to acquire this, you want to get this and all that. So that's why if you come for counseling, we begin to look at this. Then that's why we now begin to tell you that one, if you have all this is where I want to get here, get this one, get here, and you are moving that particular day, they say, okay, your life has ended. Which of them do they accompany, do they take you inside your grave?
Oh.
So these are things you begin to know. So that the person will now begin to think towards that, okay, because these are the things that makes you begin to overthink. You do not sleep. Who has caused it? Who caused it?
You caused it to yourself.
Because I'm telling you, these are the things you cause for yourself. You do not sleep. Why? You say you are suffering from this. What caused it? Because you have now immersed yourself into an issue that is giving you insomnia, which is a mental health condition. You have also then maybe want to be like this person. Hey, how can I be like this person? I get money to be like this person. That's why I said that you cannot be like this person. What you will now be praying is that, God, please help me to discover my true self, whom I am, so that you can see your potential and unlock your potential. You have your potential. This person has his potential. I have my own potential. Now, find out what your potentials are and unlock them. But the issue is that, one, we have refused to leave our comfort zone. Most of them, you remain in your comfort zone and you want to grow. So when it's up, how can you do? That's it now. So when you come, we'll tell you, come on, you cannot grow when you're still in your comfort. Nothing grows at the comfort zone. So you have to leave your comfort zone and move. Even in the Bible, you saw that Abraham left his comfort zone to grow. You saw Jacob, many of them left their comfort zone and grew. Elijah left his comfort zone to Abraham, left to the land where they will show him. They've not shown him the land though, and all that. But you will now begin now to think, how is future going to be? How was yesterday? So all this says worries our mind. We are looking at yesterday. We are looking at tomorrow, Vision 2010. or 2027, you're looking at that. How is it going to be? So you already have started working in your mind. What we're talking about, you only can talk about today. So if you learn, if you are mentally aware, you will now be looking at today. You are looking at this present. When it gets to, that's why some people say when we get to the bridge,
we'll cross it.
Cross it.
That's the most we can take on this conversation. Thank you so much, Mr. Ebere, for your contribution on this particular subject matter.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you need more?
Oh no, of course. We'll call you for that.
Right.
Okay, so our conversation was on low self-esteem among the youth. Our guest, Ebere Amarizu, who is a former Enugu State Police Public Relations Officer, had a whole lot to say on this stuff. And if you're just joining us, I advise that you just go to our YouTube page, touch this bar, the scroll bar,
just go
back and really, really, really listen to this conversation. And if you're that kind of person in your office, at your workplace, wherever it is that you do things to please your boss, Mr. Ebere said it is an example of low self-esteem. That's the most we can take on this conversation. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll bring you news and events.
We are local.
International communities observing every
Just finished the
Where the main market is in chaos. People
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV News in